Welcome back. Prepatch is not long away. It drops on the 23rd and the event starts on the 30th. Some content will be removed from the game, some things will stay, some things will be easier than, like leveling, while others will be harder. So, the mission for me and my team today is to help you sort out what you want to do next. Let's talk about raids. So, the Awakened raid rotation is going to continue until the Prepatch event begins. After that, all 3 raids will become permanently awakened until the War Within launches. Now, of course, you don't need to clear them right now, but it would leave you with some time to focus on preparing alts, enjoying the new transmog stuff, because it's going to be way more efficient and doing things like honing your UI. Now, clearing the Awakened raids on normal difficulty, has to be all of them. That'll reward you with the Voyaging Wilderling mount. It's quite nice, and it's also skywriting enabled. Then clearing all Awakened raids on heroic difficulty gets you the Awakened Hero title. Push that to Mythic, and you will unlock portals to each of the raids, and those portals will be a bit of a lifesaver for farming up your transmogs later. Plus, Prepatch makes them way more useful because the likes of them and the dungeon portals are being made account-wide with warbands. To do some specific mounts, well, the Ahead of the Curve Farak, which is this like shadow flamed up version of him, it actually does remain available until the Prepatch. So if you missed it out in Season 3, you've got another chance now, and you can obtain it by defeating Farak on non-awakened heroic difficulty, which of course will be considerably easier than the awakened version that you'll have to do beyond the Prepatch. So definitely hit that up now. Then of course the Mythic Farak mount will become significantly harder after Prepatch. Don't know about you, but I don't think I'm doing awakened Mythic anytime soon. What that basically means though is that if you go to a Mirdrasil on a non-awakened week, that's essentially your best chance to clear it in Mythic, which of course is your way to get that mount. And then when the War Within officially launches, this mount will be following the rules that we basically expect for the Mythic-only mounts. It will go from a 100% drop to a 1% drop. Just a hell of a lot harder. Next then, legendaries. So, farming for Najuro and Feralath will be a little bit more challenging post-Prepatch. The items you need come from Sarkareth and Aberys and Farak in Mirdrasil. If you've not acquired them, definitely now is the time to do that, because again, all the raids will become permanently awakened, and it being awakened, like, it doesn't increase your chance of getting the legendary item. Next then, some mount things. So, there are mounts that have drop rates that will not change with War Within, but they will become much harder to get. So I'm talking about things like the Razageth transformation from Vault, the Shadowflame Highland Drake that comes from Aberys, and the Red Farak from Mirdrasil. Basically, it'll be harder in the future when we're in that little period of time where our characters aren't quite powerful enough to solo the prior expansion, and where you'll probably struggle to get enough players together for a group. So now's definitely the time. Okay, and speaking of raids, we got the Antique Bronze Bullion. These are pretty big. Now, they will likely disappear when the Prepatch ends, and you definitely do want to make use of them. You can earn these by defeating Awakened raid bosses, and of course, the Mythic Dungeon Weekly quest, whenever that appears, it gives 2 of them. And even LFR difficulty rewards these, right? So you really, like, if you're far behind, do not worry, you can get them from LFR, and there is substantial catch-up. The way it works is you can normally loot 1 bullion per week, but the catch-up system kicks in if you have essentially fallen behind the curve. So as an example, say we're 10 weeks into the patch, I have 10 bullion by playing, and you have got 0 bullion. Well, I would keep on just getting 1 per week, but you would be getting multiple until you're caught up. They'll just keep on dropping if you keep on doing the content, and given that they drop from LFR, it is dead easy to catch up. So you definitely can catch up, and while you can spend them on really powerful gear, that makes no sense. It's the end of the expansion, there's no point. What I think you should do is put them into the cosmetics vendor. It sells raid weapon transmogs for 1 bullion each. You even get to pick like what color of gear you want. So with enough alt, you could make massive progress. And like seriously, in terms of the quality of art, there are some really cool weapons to get there. Now you can also get, very unrelated, the Jigglesworth mount, which is a bit weird, but basically it is the Shadowlands Season 4 mount, and it's otherwise unobtainable, but you can buy it for only 3 bullion. Basically that means focus on the bullion, you'll be able to get loads of weapon transmogs and also a mount. Dungeons then. Season 4's end marks the disappearance of several Mythic Plus rewards, and the season will end with Prepatch on the 23rd. So here's what you can focus on until then. If you hit 1500 rating, you'll get the Draconic title. And with today's gear, that seriously will be a walk in the park. Hitting 2000 rating gets you Keystone Master, which of course gets you the Infinite Armageddon mount. It's a pretty neat little mount actually, and again with today's gear, 2000 is real easy. Then at 2500, you will get a Feat of Strength. But that is not all. Time any Dragonflight dungeon at +10 or higher, and you'll earn a portal to that dungeon. And again, with War Within, those portals will be account-wide, which will be dead handy for getting around the world. Finally then, for the elites, there is Draconic Hero. That is for getting a top 0.1% Mythic Plus score. Yeah. If you're watching this video, you're probably like me and firmly out of the running for that. Let's knock out PvP. So, 1800 is what you need for the elite armor sets, 2400 is what you need for the elite weapon arsenals, and of course for that you also get a tabard. Then there is the Gladiator's mount. Looks pretty nice, and it's for 53 v3 matches above 2400 rating, and if you're going super extra hard, there are the top 0.1% titles for 3v3 and solo shuffle. The other side that's far more achievable for most of us is the Vicious mount. It is from filling this bar by doing solo shuffle arena and RBGs above a rating of 1000. So that's rather achievable, but this is not a full FOMO situation. The way that the Vicious mounts work is that you can actually buy prior ones using a saddle, so basically, don't worry. Mob Remix then, it ends August 19th, which is just a few days before the War Within early access begins. Now, that's the tail end of the pre-patch. You don't have to fret right now, you have loads of time. There are, of course, a ton of cosmetics to be slurped up, but I think you should be focusing on the ones that are exclusive or otherwise are very, very hard to obtain. What that means is, all Feat of Strength achievements and their rewards, the Garrosh heirloom weapons, the class sets, which are actually recolors of the Trading Post set, the Theramore tabard and toy, and finally there are the 32 mount recolors. That is quite a lot. The good news is I've got something to make it easy for you. A tracking spreadsheet. Got all you need, bronze costs, check marks for everything so you can actually track your own progress. And the good news is Blizzard substantially buffed bronze rewards from just doing the daily quests, LFG, and a few raid clears. It is now blazingly fast. Black Market Auction House. If you've got cash to burn, now's the time. The current inventory of the BMAH rotates out at the end of August. Now, I'm actually not talking about the auction stuff that we've had for years. No, this is a new vendor at the Black Market Auction House that is just packed with gold-themed recolors, and I guess they probably are made of gold because they're bloody expensive. Anyway, that'll cost you a hell of a lot, but they do rotate out pretty soon. The next thing, a quick note on Dragonflight cosmetics. So this is not essential, but I do think it's something that you should do now because it will be easier when Dragonflight's content is populated. Basically, the Dragonflight tier sets, honestly, they look pretty damn fantastic. Getting raid groups is going to be easier now than it will be in the future. The other side is actually there are crafty ways of earning these tier set cosmetics. We made this video a while back. It's absolutely crammed full of pointers, so I think you'll find it helpful. And now is absolutely the time. A World Awoken. Okay, that is the expansion-wide meta achievement, and once again earning it, like, it's a big feat, and it's one you should do now because once again it will be harder when the Isles are depopulated. Okay, so now you know what stuff's going, or at the very least what will be a little bit harder to obtain. Next, let's talk about preparation, actions you can actually take. So, the pre-patch will bring blazing leveling speeds, so whether you're choosing Mob Remix or Chromie, like time walking stuff, you'll be zooming from 1 to 70 faster than ever. And that means that actually right now is probably the time to focus on other things rather than leveling, especially because of course any leveling that you do via the Radiant Echoes event will also earn you that event currency, so you may as well focus your leveling time then. But there is crucial action to take before pre-patch, and that is create an evoker, no matter what. Currently, evokers start at level 58, but post pre-patch, evokers will start at level 10, like any allied race. So by creating an evoker now, you are saving yourself 48 levels of leveling. That'll save you time. So that means create one now, do the intro experience, and just park the character at a capital city to earn some rested XP. Professions are next, and War Within makes them far more playable. Big picture, it is still the same system as Dragonflight. Progression won't carry over, but now is a real good time to get familiar with them. You see, Dragonflight's usability problems, like you often feeling behind on knowledge, those were kind of rough, and the War Within is trying to fix them. They've also got concentration, which is basically the replacement to the RNG of inspiration, and that makes a bunch of the crafting a good bit more predictable, and also there are NPC crafting orders, loads of them, right? And they refresh twice a week. That makes your progression far more smooth, and as a form of catch-up, well, if you're really far behind, they will be spawning more of those NPC work orders. So that basically means if the profession problems of Dragonflight really meant that you didn't engage with it, now is a brilliant time to plan your professions and get ready for the expansion. And this kind of thing, a little bit of planning goes a long way. And there is another thing tangentially related, the Warband Bank. That's just going to be great generically, but it does straight up revolutionize multi-character crafting because it centralizes your crafting reagents. So the amount of bag sorting drudgery that is going to be fixed by this is kind of wild. Thing is though, it comes at a cost, right? It is just over 3 million gold to unlock all of the bank slots. The good news though is that getting the first few is a lot cheaper. Point is, here's how much it costs. That's a lot of money, and you should probably work out what your gold earning goals in-game are so you can make the most of that when the expansion comes out. And to make that seem just a little bit more alluring, there's actually a quest that will give you a toy, and that toy lets you just access this bank anywhere, which is pretty damn crazy. You basically have got an account-wide stash. Okay, next, I want to talk about some things that you've probably been putting off. Little frustrations, bags, UI, things in WoW that actually do feel like work. The way to do this is to think, what will my future self be glad that I did now? For me, my to-do list is basically cleaning out the bank and the bags for all of my characters, which is a lot. Clearing out quest logs. I'll be looking at add-ons and doing a full cull of the stuff that I'm not using or won't use. As an example, the likes of prior expansion weak aura packs or ones from Dragonflight content that I'm just not going to be needing. Doing your spring clean is super high value. Nothing is worse than logging in on launch day just to be driven mad by your UI or kicking yourself for not emptying your bags. Now, one of the best things with WoW for me is the guild that I play with. So if you're not in a guild, now is a really good time to start looking because lots of guilds will be recruiting. Then a quick note on transmog. So whenever Prepatch hits, anything in your bags will actually be learned account-wide. That's of course because with warbands, you can learn transmogs from other armor types. That'll be great. It'll give you a big day one surge for your mod collection. Certainly wondering what will happen with the Illidari Warglaive in my Hunter's Bank. Now, a quirk of this system is gear tokens, right? They cannot be used by the wrong class, but Prepatch will make them warbound, which means you can send them over to your alts. So basically, the thing to do is do not go and sell all of the random vendor trash in your bags. Keep that stuff there because it will be learned account-wide whenever Prepatch happens. If you're, say, leveling characters just because that's what you want to do right now, and you get bits of gear that the character you're leveling cannot use, keep them. Put them in your bank because, again, whenever the Prepatch launches, that stuff will be learned account-wide. Other than that, you can prepare with a little bit of knowledge and a little bit of experience. There's a bunch of lore that leads into this expansion, so if you're not up to date with it, you may as well actually decide, you know what, this is perhaps the time where I'm going to start paying attention to the story. If you do, I think you'll actually get more out of it, and we will have videos to help you with that coming up pretty soon. Another thing then is experience, because now is actually one of the best times to not play World of Warcraft. You will likely enjoy the War Within more if you've just played other games and had a good time, such that whenever you come back to World of Warcraft, your palate has been cleansed and you can actually taste the difference in the new content, rather than it feeling like one big blur because you're always playing. I mean, I could be real cheeky and say, why not consider picking up our game, The Pale Beyond on Steam? Anyway, that's it for me. Let me know if you got your own tips or tricks. What are you going to be doing before Prepatch? How are you preparing for the expansion? Let me know in the comments. Till then, though, thanks for watching. I'll see you next time.